Bike Safety Podcast with Vance and Bart.
It's a trap. There's no comfort fitting in a fake safety that no one believes in.
Let's get right into it. What do you say?
Do it. Let's go.
I mean, the economy and jobs.
Let's. Yeah,
I mean, the Biden administration has been doing it, man, with these bailout money and the prolonged extra money for your unemployment. I don't know if it's still the $600 thing or whatever, but I know they've extended it, and it's more than normal, and like all these things are just killing it, man. It's amazing. And then adding all the mask mandates and the extra requirements on people who are working, making their jobs more miserable. I mean, it's really been amazing for turning around this economy.
Well, and all of the jobs created to enforce and administer all of those policies and regulations that didn't exist before all this.
Yeah.
Just job creation like no other.
Yeah. I mean, it's been amazing. I was doubting him. I believed in the Austrian economics, and I was like, oh, this turning off the economy and turning it back on, it's not a light switch. And boy, I was wrong. He just turned it right back on, and we're just booming.
That is true. That is what I've heard. I will say I haven't read the report itself, but I've been told that we're in good shape.
Yeah, me too. So maybe we should look into the report and see because the government report has been released, and it's
released. It's released by the government to us, like just as them saying, like, yeah, you can go into the weeds if you want, but it's good. Just trust us.
I mean, it's done by the government. There's no lies and it's definitely straightforward. It's just so there's no spin. It's not like MSNBC put this out. It was government.
Right. This is straight from the horse's mouth.
Yeah, this is like
straight from the horse's job.
Yeah, so if you're on the right, this is like a general told you it, or a CIA member. And if you're on the left, this is like, your social welfare queen or whoever that is told you, this is from the government. This is the good guys here. So not China. This is not China telling us this.
The Chi-coms, you mean?
Yes. The Chi-coms. Does that shit work on people? Like this? Like, I guess it does, but man. All right. Have you seen the reports at all? Nothing?
I've felt them. I haven't seen them.
Okay, so let's see what we have here. Do you want to see if you can pull up? I'm going to look too. Because, I mean, I can imagine it's only good news.
It's got to be. That's what they've been saying.
I mean, it was what? A mill? Or no, it was a couple mil? I don't know. And like, there's supposed to be a few mil or something. Jobs created. In like 2 weeks or whatever. So let's see what is it? Jobs report, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. Why would jobs report February 2019? Why would that pop up first?
February 2019 is when all of the web developers figured out SEO finally.
Hiring boom goes bust.
Wait, what? That's got to be from a different year.
Uh-oh. So this is from the credible news network of CNBC.
Credible news broadcasting company.
Yeah. A person, let's see, published Friday by Jeff Cox.
What does Jeff have to say for himself?
Well, hiring was a huge letdown in April. Let's see, increased by much less than expected. So there was 266,000 jobs filled. I don't like to say created because these were not jobs that were created. They were just told they couldn't exist right now. And then, so anyway, so the light switch was turned back on, and the millions of, let's see, the Dow estimated 1 million jobs in that month is what the Mr. Dow Jones estimated. Do you know who Mr. Dow Jones is?
I think it's Doe Jones.
Oh, Doe. Oh,
you know how like
Dow Corning, but Doe.
No, like you know how like BOW is a bow.
Oh, right. So Doe Jones estimated had been estimates had been 1 million new jobs. They're not new jobs if they're jobs that have been told to stop. But that drives me nuts. Unemployment rate is, even with all the shit they don't include in that, it's at the estimate was supposed to be 5.8%, but we are at, even with their math, government math, we're at 6.1% unemployment now. There was more bad news. March original estimates total of 916,000 was reversed down to 770,000. Let's see. February saw an upward revision to. Also, February's they thought it was 468, but it was actually 536,000. Oh my God. Yeah. So from January 20 to April 20, we lost over 20 million jobs.
And we're getting them back 200,000 at a time.
Yeah. And check this out. In December 20th, 20, before, right before the new year, we actually lost jobs too. Yeah, so we were about 25 million jobs were lost back in February and April ish. It looks like from their charts. Ouch.
So were we wrong?
Oh. Let's see. I'm going to look at it from a different chart.
Good call.
Yeah, this should fix it. Oh, so we had quite the upward trend in 2008 in unemployment. We got up pretty high. And then it's been steady going down. I love this because it actually shows that like 2012, 14, 16, we still weren't actually recovered from even with their numbers were not actually recovered from uh, the bank bailouts and stuff because they didn't just let it, companies that weren't allocating resources the right way, they got bailed out by, the hardworking people. So we were just starting to get back to where we were in '08 when this happened.
Great timing.
Like, not only had we had just gotten back to it, like, so we hadn't progressed from '08. We had just gotten back to it. And by their numbers. And then unemployment spiked in 2020 due to, forced, basically forcing all small businesses to go under, and only the people lining the politicians' pockets to, continue, and now without competition. Unemployment spiked to like 15%. Has been going down since because people are just saying fuck you and going back to work. Oh, except for the people who now can make more on unemployment than they could at work, or even not more. I mean, I've thought about this before, but I think Dave Smith was talking about this either today or whenever he recorded his last podcast. Like, if you make $20 an hour and your check is X, and it comes out to, like, basically with the government you're making about 15. So for $5 an hour you're going to go back to work? No, I'm just going to sell drugs and make some side hustle. I mean, not me, I'm just saying, I don't sell drugs, feds.
He gives them away for free.
I do. For iTunes reviews, I give out drugs if you give me a 5-star review on iTunes.
If you give us anything 4 or less, we'll take your drugs from you.
Yeah, that's true. The only thing else I'm seeing that's good news on here, I'm looking through this report. Leaf Guard's got a good deal going on for your gutters being covered. That's pretty much the only good news I see.
So they must have figured things out back in February 19 along with those web developers.
Yeah. God damn, Randy Jackson looks weird as fuck. Skinny, man.
Oh, I forgot he's skinny now.
He just looks weird, man. Yeah. It appears about 1.1 unemployed workers for every job opening. There's what? Yeah, we know that there's tons of jobs. I mean, there's fucking hiring signs everywhere. People, incentives aren't there to go back to work, buddy. And what people don't understand is that just makes our dollar worth less. Like, we have fiat currency, so it's only worth the production value of us. Plus, minus what it sucked out by the state every year. You know what I mean? So, like, that's bad. So I don't know if you can look up some YouTube videos. Maybe I would like to see maybe an MSNBC clip or something trying to spin this. Because I'm not seeing the bright side, but I'm sure if what's that lady who's on MSNBC that's so popular?
Let's find out.
What I'm sure she can show me the bright side why this is good.
Got it. Here we go.
Our concentrate cleaning system is reusable, recyclable, and infinitely clean. For a better, brighter future. Let's move beyond plastic.
Great ad.
Choose your free starter set today.
It's just clean forever.
Breaking news on the economy. The Labor Department just released the monthly jobs report. 266,000 jobs were added in April. Economists expected 1 million new jobs last month. The unemployment rate ticked up to 6.1 from 6%. Let's talk about this. What's going on? Let's bring in NBC News senior business correspondent and an MSNBC anchor, Stephanie Rule. So what do you make of those numbers?
This is a big disappointment, and it's a big surprise. We were expecting 1 million jobs to have come back, and we thought we would see unemployment dip below 6%, probably around 5.8%. And where it's especially surprising is read any newspaper, walk down any main street. Small and big businesses are saying it every day. They're struggling to bring workers back. We have an enormous amount of open jobs out there. And one place you can actually see that is wage increases. You saw wages tick up. And we also hear that. We talk to businesses every day that are saying they cannot bring people back to work. And that's pushing wages higher, which is a positive. Because remember, Democrats have been trying to get the federal minimum wage pushed up to $15, and they haven't been able to do it, but it's happening naturally. So it's very interesting that we're seeing this top line, only 266,000 jobs added, because I can tell you, last week, I personally went to a job fair in Atlantic City. 9 casinos were there with 1,800 open jobs. Only 20 people showed up. And one of the reasons people are talking about is because of these extended unemployment benefits are paying people very well. Bank of America actually calculated it. So anyone who was making last year $32,000 or less, if they're not working now, they're making more money staying at home. And that's pushing quite a few people to stay at least through September when these benefits run out. And maybe between now and then, we're going to see wages push even higher. But across the board, when you look at that number, 266, I guarantee economists, labor specialists are scratching their heads. Nobody thought the number would be this low.
So, Steph, how do we square all the good news we've been getting on the economy? Just yesterday, we hit another record low for the pandemic of jobless claims, and also all this money that's been pumped into the economy and into the trillions from the federal government. What's going on here?
It's really hard to compute because we do have very, very good data out there. It's one of the reasons we're starting to see this inflation pressure. You know, go to the grocery store, go to the hardware store, because of shortages out there. And because there's all this money in the system, things are starting to cost more and more. So while it's surprising and disappointing to see that number only at 266,000, I guarantee you call almost any business out there, they'll say they're trying to hire people for any shift, every shift, any day.
First off, I actually listened to economists. And
wait, when you say economists, can you define that for me?
Well, people who studied and got their doctorate in economics.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Then they all kind of, they were saying that this would happen. Inflation, people not going back to work, because the incentive structure isn't correct. But the almighty major news networks and federal government were saying differently. So I was like, oh, these economists are wrong. So I wasn't hearing, like, you have, I guess you do have like that one guy who writes for Times, Krugman, who will say whatever the narrative is, that he doesn't have any integrity. It's just he'll spin, because he's a Keynesian, he can kind of just spin his economic theory a little bit because it doesn't, not rooted in anything. And he'll spin it whichever way the wind's blowing. Like, he'll contradict himself tomorrow. And everybody sees it. Everybody knows it. Who knows anything about economics? Like, he's a joke. There was a people who listen to this show know there was a whole cruise named after the fact he's a joke. You go on a cruise and listen to people talk about how much he's a joke. Anyway, they were like, he was saying what they were saying, like $1 million, but that was pretty much the only economist doing that. Like, all the respected ones, even like your mainstream economists weren't saying what she's saying they were saying. So nobody expected this. So we got that out of the way. That's BS. I'm pretty sure us construction worker and IT guy were saying this. But
yeah, we're not scratching our heads.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I scratch my head and I go, how's it taking this long to, like, how are they plugging the hole for as long as they have? But like I know where it's going. Like, I'm not surprised where, like, I might be a little surprised on how long it takes for it to get there. But I know where it's going. So, okay, so that's out of the way. So she was saying things that contradicted herself. She was saying things like, oh, well, people are trying to hire. Some people are saying it's due to the higher unemployment. She wasn't making that claim, but she was reporting that some people are saying that. What else? She said the wages. I love how they spun it. Like, the positive is the wages are going up. But like, wages are going up with big business. Wages are going down with small business and like your middle businesses, because they can't afford to pay what they could have afforded to pay if they hadn't lost all this revenue. Right? And their cost, because cost of everything else is going up. Inflation, their cost of operating is going up after they've been shut down and not able to bring in any income. So maybe they do pay one person more to get one person in, but they were going to hire 6 people at like $1 less an hour. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now they got one person at $1 more an hour. So, but it doesn't make the world richer. In fact, it makes us extremely less productive, less competition. So there'll be less innovation. And she's like, oh, it's naturally going to minimum wage is going to 15. It's naturally, there's nothing natural about what happened to our economy. A forced lockdown by a federal government against private businesses and private homes is not natural. It does not exist in nature.
I will say this, though. It is interesting that she was willingly admitting the natural reaction, which is the inflation and wage increase. And it's not something that the government could even push through with these minimum wage conversations, but wages and inflation continue to react naturally to that. Now, what they're reacting to, yes, not natural.
Yeah.
But it is interesting that she points out the reaction from the market, which is natural.
Yeah, the market has to react to whatever. That's why it works, is because natural or unnatural roadblocks that are thrown in front of it, it surrounds it and tries to rein it back in and get the flow going again. It's just how it works. All the unnatural things, roadblocks that are put in the way are reasons why it doesn't flow as well. It's always but it's always trying to fix something. But if it could just flow and just worry about like the natural stuff, like, oh, we don't need TI-86 calculators anymore. Like, we could absorb that into a flowing economy a lot easier. Like, companies who used to make the TI-86 could either go under and the employees could, we could absorb all that pretty well naturally. But like all this other shit in the way, a company going under is a bigger deal. So, and then I think something that's not been brought up a lot, I think since 08, our age group, I'm about 40 years old. We've been through something different than generations before us, in that we had enough time to like really get into the workforce, and then it gets swept out from under us, and then refocus our energy into something else to make money again, right? Maybe a completely different field, get good at that, and it gets swept out from under us. Like, so me personally, like, I've bounced from industry to industry, maybe related type things, physical work, a lot of math, geometry, weight, stuff like that. I enjoy that. But I've had to refocus my career many times and become an expert in something completely new. Again, so people are getting frustrated with that. Like, you work so hard to get good at something, and because the artificial interest rates being lowered, money being pumped into the system and going, being distributed by select people to their buddies, allocate resources to things that aren't natural. So when it fails, those things, like, because that's where the money was, we went to it to make it, right? But now there's no need for that. So we've got to reevaluate our lives, start over, whatever. And people are getting sick of it. Like, I've learned, I know how to do all these different things, and I've had to start over and over and over again because of you guys getting rich. And I'm fucking sick of it. And I know whose fault it is, but these people, they don't know exactly whose fault it is, but they know something's wrong. And I'm sick of it, And they're going to turn to the wrong answers because that's what the public schools taught them to do for this exact reason. But it's frustrating to people, and they don't want to go back out and learn a whole nother trade and get back in the workforce. And they damn sure don't want to do it for $5 more an hour than what they're getting sitting at home. I mean, I had to sell much weed to make that up. No.
And who sells more weed than the United States government?
Well, nobody. Who sells more heroin than the United States government? Military. The United States military. Nobody. Who runs more guns? The United States military.
Nicolas Cage.
That's right. So, so she did give lip service to a couple real things in there, but she did definitely did not connect any of the dots. Right? She made sure to not do that. And there just didn't. What amazes me is that they can, our news, our supposed news, can go and do a report like this, and they don't even have to attempt to show an illusion that they're trying to like dig into the weeds and figure this out. Our news networks now just say the narrative talking point, and there's no digging, there's no let's look at it from two different angles. It's just but the Republicans are saying this, but the Democrats are saying this, and they're all leading to the same place.
It is interesting because it does masquerade a bit as the minimalist approach. Because for some things you would think, oh, just report the facts. I don't need an editorial.
Right.
But
are you reporting the facts that are given to you by a government agency? Or are you getting the facts given to you and then doing research to confirm those facts?
Right.
That's what it used to be.
That's my point, right? Is that it looks like the stripped down version. It to me seems much more nefarious to masquerade as that, when there are some that are obviously very opinionated and have quite the editorial, but at least they're honest with themselves and everyone else about being that way. Whereas this is pretending to be just a recitation of the facts, when in reality it is just a small subset of the facts with conclusions that don't follow the science.
Right. Let's use that against them, because economics is a science. It's not a political position. It's a science. The fact that you've found economists that will jump on board with politicians to get their names out there and become famous doesn't change the fact that it's a science and those people are hacks.
Well, that in itself proves the science of real economics, right? Because those individuals are motivated to become wealthy by way of fame.
Right. Yeah. And in itself, it does. Yeah. The incentive structure is geared towards sucking a politician's dick or other
genitalia
anatomy types of anatomy, whatever whoever you're on board with. As politicians, they do some weird shit. There's probably not names for some of this shit.
We could come up with some.
Oh, I'm sure we could.
Let's call one No Child Left Behind.
Nailed it. I bet there's a room for that. I bet that's one of the what's his name's Jeffrey Epstein's sex videos. I bet that's like one of the recordings of a politician. That's what he named it. I bet there's some funny labels on those tapes that we'll never. I mean, I don't think we should see them, but
I want to see the labels.
Yeah, I'm sure the labels are great. Yeah. I mean, I know I would get creative with it if I was a sick fuck like that.
What if that's the one part where he's not all that interesting?
It's just like
it's just what you see is what you get. Like it's what's written on the tin. Like it just is a VHS label, and it just says
Jeb Bush finger banging.
Bill Clinton has sex with underage girl.
Yeah.
Number one.
14-year-old Susie finger bang.
Oh yeah, it's verbose too. It's got to be like names, ages, dates, locations.
Right. Yeah.
It's a brief. It's not even a label. It's just like a full brief, as if it were like a packing slip on a package that would be sent to you.
And then
he's just folded up on yellow legal pad and taped to the cassette.
And then his index card, it's just the anagram of that whole thing. It's like the Fibador de Capador. What? I like it.
I like that we're also thinking about it as if it were tapes and not some sort of digital storage.
Right. It's like VHS tapes, like rewind and everything. For me.
Like,
that's creepier. For some reason, VHS is creepy to me.
Yeah, it does have a different kind of analog warmth.
Yeah. Like I just picture of when I was in video production in high school, this is going to date me. We had analog, like we were on multiple VHS tapes, like with the little dial that you spun, and it would just rewind as fast as you, or fast forward as fast as you spun your little finger on the knob. Like I feel like he's in there editing like that. Like I don't know why.
Spin your little finger on the knob. That's a title.
And it's all tube TVs to me. Like it's just like Saw, when he's sitting at the screens. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels less sinister if you're sitting in front of an iPhone, just holding it in your hand and looking at it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're in like a dark bat cave,
cavern, with the glow of the screen on your face,
underneath your mansion in this subterranean. I realize I'm now kind of painting Jeffrey Epstein as Bruce Wayne, and that's probably not a good thing on my part. Like I'm doing some well, he's dead-ish on paper, so
yeah,
I'm not really marketing for anyone who's theoretically alive.
Yeah. If Jeffrey Epstein comes back as like a masked vigilante. He's seen the errors of his ways.
Well, it's the Batman story turned upside down. Instead of him being an orphan, he has created orphans by just kidnapping children.
Right.
Because what happens to those kids after, right? When they grow out of Bill Clinton and Jeb Bush.
Yeah. I mean,
does he send them back home?
I imagine they killed some of them, honestly. Like back then, like the ones that they knew were just going to get too loud. Like the ones that were broken and they didn't feel like we're going to say anything. Like those ones got to survive, go on. But I'm sure they got some inner city or some, a lot of foreign kids and whatnot. But, some kids are like, when they get backed into a corner, they get loud and feisty, Imagine those kids got killed, to be honest with you. I don't see any other scenario that it went on that long with CIA involvement and all that and funding. So you're talking about a CIA agent's going to justify that to himself. Like, look, we're honeypotting these evil politicians from overseas or whatever to get them on board with the American dream to keep freedom alive. So if I got to kill this innocent kid who's mad about getting fucked in the ass by him, I mean, so be it.
truly the trolley problem.
Yeah, truly. Yeah. Freedom.
There's a railing joke in there somewhere.
Yeah. So email us. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're on our which tier of Patreon is us reading your joke on the podcast?
Dude, we will do that shit for free if it's good. But
you heard it for free.
For free. $2, man. Come on. $2. Hit us up. $2 a month. And we'll definitely get you on the emailing list and keep you informed of everywhere that we're gonna be, or we're gonna try as much as we can. We are working class men. This is a good time to say we did open up a Patreon. We have 3 different tiers. We have $2 a month, which is going to get you, of course, the shout out and get you on our email list for us to send out where we're going to be, the events we're going to be at, and get you in on that. We have the $5 a month, which is going to get you into our private MeWe page. We did not go with Facebook for obvious reasons. Even though it's private, you still get it shut down if you say anything against the state. And I hope there'll be a lot of that on our MeWe page.
If we're doing it right.
If we're doing it right, there should be a lot of that. So we're going to do it on MeWe. Then we have the $10 a month. So I'm going to we're going to call it a weekly rant. There will be more than one a week for the most part. But if you're like me, you hear something, somebody says something, it triggers some thought. Most of the time pisses you off pretty bad. I figure I'll yell into my phone and you guys can listen to it, and get back with us. I think while the group's small, I would like to bring on the $10 a month people to maybe some group discussions. I would like to get to know you guys a little bit and maybe do a call with you guys and get some suggestions from you on what you think the direction of the show should go. Our whole goal here is to promote liberty with fake safety. And any suggestion that's going to help us to do that more efficiently is wonderful. We only have so much of our time, being that we're working to support our families. But we are making steps in our lives to become more free to movement. I know I am making some significant steps. So, because I would like to be very involved, and I would like to see you guys at Pork Fest. And get to know some of you in person. And maybe we can, by then the economy will be turned around. Biden will have it going. Nobody will care about liberty because everything will be wonderful. Unicorn fart straight.
Well, that's what economists are predicting.
Little side note, have you heard about the gas and fuel shortage in the Southeast? I think Georgia in particular. I don't know if you're feeling it out in California. I don't think it's even on the West Coast.
We are experiencing more of a shortage in a broad sense just because of skyrocketing prices and availability.
Uh-huh.
But the fuel thing hasn't really hit here yet.
Yeah, so I think the pipeline issue was the Southeast is what was affected. The distribution, whatever, the computer hack or whatever, lock that down. But of course, the surrounding areas that are getting fuel are trying to feed into the void. So they're having shortages in other states. I was actually thinking about buying the $1,000 fuel tank that I want for the back bed of my truck, going up to driving north, getting a bunch of diesel, bringing it back, selling it, and making $1,000 off the diesel to pay for the fuel tank I want. So then I just get a free fuel tank for my truck.
Who are you selling this diesel to?
Oh, everybody needs it. All the construction sites, man, running out and shit in their equipment.
So you're just showing up at job sites and being like, "Do you need diesel?" And they'll be like, "Yes, I'll pay you."
The assholes I worked for, probably. I mean, they would buy it.
Easy.
Maybe. And if they don't, I'll go down to the other job site.
You should just get a decal for the side of the fuel tank that just says Market Forces.
Speaking of decals, merch, come to PorkFest. We'll have merch available. We'll be giving away some stuff. And you guys try to stay sane out there. You know, just fuck the lockdowns. Go outside anyway.
Yeah,
and
take a walk.
Somebody's got to do it first. Everybody wants to go outside. Just go outside. Be the first one. It'll be like those fucking movies and shit. When one person comes out to look at something. Like what was that? The Tom Cruise movie with the aliens, War of the World. You come out to look at it, and then everybody else does.
So we just need Tom Cruise to go outside.
Yes.
Tom, if you're listening,
COVID aliens come through and zap everybody. And then what was that? Was that Dakota Fanning in that?
That's the girl.
Right. Yeah. What's she doing now? Is she an actress still, or is she like Broadway or something? She seems like she would still be an actress, but she's not in movies now, is she?
Oh, she's in that movie Spin Your Little Finger on the Knob.
It's a trap. There's no comfort.